And good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Stop Motion Monsterpieces, the show where I discuss random films featuring stop motion not by the great Ray Harryhausen. And tonight we'll be taking a look at some stop motion dinosaurs. First up, we have Caveman from 1981. Co-written and directed by Carl Gottlieb, Caveman is a prehistoric comedy. Set in the historically accurate year of 1 zillion BC, it tells the story of a group of cavemen trying to survive on prehistoric Earth. 2 members of the tribe are cast out. The first for getting injured, and the second, who's our lead, for trying to roofie both the tribe's leader and his woman in order to get a little better acquainted with the cave lady. The 2 banished cavemen strike out on their own, starting a new tribe, learning to walk upright, and discovering fire. But our lead still wants Lana, so he attempts to steal her in the middle of the night. And thinking about it, Atuk may have actually been the villain of the film. Tonda doesn't seem all that bad. But all this leads to some wacky cave person hijinks and run-ins with some dinosaurs. The film stars Ringo Starr as our lead, proving that he was actually the hairy one. But it also features Dennis Quaid, Barbara Bach, Shelley Long, Avery Schreiber, and John Matuszak. But equally as important here is the stop motion, which is some of the best ever put on film. The way it blends the effect shots with the human actors is downright impressive. I'm actually not convinced Ringo didn't use a little of that Beatles money to clone himself some dinos. But regardless, this one is just full of impressive and interesting effects. Heck, there's a stop-motion shot in the first 4 minutes of the film. And set effects were, in part, by the great Jim Danforth of The Time Machine, Jack the Giant Killer, and Clash of the Titans. Danforth was the lead special effects director and dinosaur designer, but would leave the film about 2/3 of the way through because the Directors Guild of America wouldn't allow him an on-screen credit for co-direction. He then went to England and joined Ray Harryhausen on Clash of the Titans. The actual stop motion of Caveman was mostly done by Randall Cook, who designed, sculpted, and animated the Terror Dogs and Ghostbusters. And though this has nothing to do with the stop motion, Caveman has some great music. This is a genuinely funny movie with great effects, and where else are you going to see a high T-Rex fall off of a cliff? And I think it's pretty safe to say that most scientists agree that this is the most accurate portrayal of caveman life ever put on film. Science. Next up, we have Planet of Dinosaurs from 1977. Directed by James K. Shea, Planet of Dinosaurs is a sci-fi Lost World kind of film. And it tells the story of a starship crew that crash lands on an alien planet that looks much like Earth. The ship goes down in a lake. The communications officer realizes that she left the radio behind. Luckily, she's wearing a bikini under her spacesuit. Not so lucky though that she is then eaten by some unknown aquatic creature. Turns out, this strange new world is crawling with dinosaurs and the crew must survive in the hostile environment, all man versus nature style. But I gotta tell you, this is one of the dumbest groups of space people you're bound to see. No wonder they crashed. Their friend was eaten by an aquatic monster, and then like 5 minutes later they decide to go through a swamp because going around it would take too long. But they do get their stuff together eventually and end up hunting and eating dinosaurs. Sorry, Rex. Planet of Dinosaurs has a great cast, including Lasergun Cher, James Brolin Knievel, and the illegitimate love child of Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. But really, the effects are the true star of the film. This one features a bunch of stop-motion dinosaurs as well as this creepy giant spider. Just look at her slap that mofo. That's cool. And check this shot out. That's awesome. The half-eaten dinosaur is pretty neat too. And set effects were by Doug Beswick, an accomplished special effects artist who worked on everything from Flesh Gordon all the way to The Empire Strikes Back to Gremlins 2. And it's often said that the bulk of Planet of Dinosaurs' budget went to the effects, and it shows. Another interesting tidbit, stop-motion legend Jim Danforth of Caveman fame did matte work for the film, but it was clearly so good, I'm not sure which scene it was. Like so many other classic sci-fi films, Planet of Dinosaurs was filmed at the legendary Vasquez Rocks. And yep, I'm using that same Star Trek footage again. Let's just call it a running gag, not laziness. The film would go on to have a second life of sorts. B-movie luminary Fred Olen Ray would purchase the rights to use several of the dinosaur shots and use them in his 1988 sci-fi film The Phantom Empire. The scene where Sybil Danning throws the spear at the T-Rex, and the little fourth wall breaking look she gives, was done because the character hadn't used a spear in the film before that and they had to match up the footage. And finally, we have When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth from 1970. Written and directed by Val Guest and released by Hammer Films, When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth is a prehistoric fantasy and a showcase of top-notch fur bikini acting. And it tells the story of a tribe of cave-type people who are about to sacrifice some blondes to their sun god. Talk about a waste of a perfectly good cave girl. But one of these ladies escapes and manages to join a new tribe, which is much friendlier to blondes. But within like 20 minutes, she rubs another cave girl the wrong way, and once again, our lead is out on her own, trying to survive and making new friends along the way. Director Val Guest did numerous films for Hammer, including the first two Quatermass films. When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth stars Victoria Vetri as our fur bikini-clad lead. Vetri was a model and actress who was the 1968 Playmate of the Year. She also appeared in Rosemary's Baby and Invasion of the Bee Girls. Then as some of our other cave ladies and gentlemen, we have Imogen Hassel, Carol Hawkins, and Robin Haldon. As expected, being what this episode is all about, When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth features several nice stop-motion scenes. And even though it's a prehistoric world, we get this almost kaiju-esque scene as this plesiosaur smashes a hut. That's pretty darn spiffy. Seems a little belligerent on his part though. We also learned that dinosaurs made elephant noises. The stop motion in the film was by a team led by, this may come as a giant surprise, Jim Danforth. I probably should have just called this episode the Jim Danforth edition. And though some may refer to this happening as unintentional, I prefer to think of it as subconscious osmosity. But Danforth was assisted by the great David Allen and Roger Deakins. Allen worked on a bunch of stuff including Twilight Zone the movie and Subspecies. Deakins did effects for Scars of Dracula and The Land That Time Forgot. The models in When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth cost around $3,000 each, and at one point there was even talk of more creatures including giant ants, but those were cancelled for financial reasons. In 1971, the film was nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Academy Awards. It lost out to Bedknobs and Broomsticks, and I gotta say, Bedknobs and Broomsticks was an absolute favorite of mine as a lad. I remember seeing a screening of that at the public library one summer. But back to When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth, or When Dinosaurs Ruled the World in the UK. Because the film is a bit slow in parts and doesn't feature any real dialogue, just made-up cave person chatter, this one can be kind of a tough watch for some, unlike Caveman. But with the great effects and the lovely Miss Vetri, there's definitely fun to be had even if you have to do some skimming. And that's all the time we have for this weekend, so ladies are going to share. Did you like the episode?
Yes. No. I'm not sure.
Well, that's a little vague. Now, how about you?
Awful. But it feels so good.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Please like, comment, subscribe, hype, watch the skies, and stay atomic.
Capture the dinosaurs! Those romping, stomping dinosaurs! It's a dinosaur hunt! Chef Boyardee! Dinosaurs!
Tasty pasta, new from Chef Boyardee. Capture all three and you win.
Dinosaurs!
Dinosaur. The biggest story ever told. Now you can own the 4-part videocassette collector's edition box set for only $69.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-423-1212 now, and we will include this beautiful full-color hardbound companion book to the series at no additional cost. A $25 value free when you order Dinosaur. Call now, 1-800-423-1212.
Plans after school. You know what Elliot's gonna do? Jeff, too. Elliot's at work on a book report using Scripsit on Radio Shack's Color Computer 3. It hooks up to his TV. And Jeff's at his Radio Shack Color Computer 3 playing the newest football game. But wait, what's Elliot doing playing new Super Pitfall? And Jeff's having a blast with a new math tutor. You never know what you might try with more than 100 programs for fun and learning. Radio Shack's Color Computer 3 comes with everything you see here. Other items each sold separately. Only at Radio Shack.